I'm very curious as to why uh, literal Nazis are allowed to protest being actual anti-Semitics, while people who protest against genocide are arrested and claimed to be anti-Semitic.
Continues after multiple incidents of a neo-Nazi group marching in South Dakota cities. Those activities happening over the weekend at the state capitol in Pierre and in Deadwood.
State leaders have condemned those marches, but the level of response has been underwhelming for many of the state's black leaders. John Gaskins talked with 3 local NAACP board members and joins us now with more. Hello, John.
Hello, Brian. We start with Langston Newton, the president of the NAACP in Sioux Falls. He had spent his entire Saturday celebrating the diversity of the city at the Pride Parade and Festival of Cultures. But then later, he received the news about the neo-Nazi march in Pierre.
Because honestly, it was disbelief. To see neo-Nazis in 2024 go to your state capitol building is like, this has to be fake. It's jarring. It's absolutely jarring.
But not surprising to Julian Baudouin, who has lived in Sioux Falls for almost 2 decades.
Hatred has always been in South Dakota. Hatred has always been in America. Racism is bred within the cloth of what we call America, what we call home, and it's something that we just fight against every day.
And according to these leaders, the fight against it isn't strong enough from Governor Kristi Noem, who issued a short social media statement that said, in part, that Nazis are not welcome here in South Dakota and that the state rejects hate.
We live in 2024. It does not take very long to flip your camera around and say, I'm just as shocked as you are. I don't want this happening in my state. I want a real, raw response.
Although the protesters were escorted away from the Capitol and sent away by law enforcement in Deadwood, there are concerns about law enforcement training when it comes to these situations. Baudouin is a certified law enforcement officer who feels police were not prepared well enough to interact with the hate group.
So knowing that these things are going to happen, knowing that we have people living in our community that feel the way they do, we have to be prepared to battle against the hatred. We can't just come out with a statement and say it has no home if we're not empowering our people to fight against hatred.
The NAACP says that while leaders in the state aren't doing enough with legislation or their words to fight bigotry, everyday people can with their actions and their words.
South Dakotans, people of color here, raise their families, they go to work, they pay their taxes, they go to church, they do all these things just like you. If you do actually take the time to humanize us and people of color in the state, that might lead to a better understanding and maybe a little less hate.